Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel, or if you are new, welcome. My name is Hannah, and today's video is going to be a little bit more of a serious one. So I'm sorry if this isn't like going to be like if I'm not going to be like my usual happy self, but today's video is going to be all about my gastroparesis. And if you are new to my channel, you obviously can tell I do have a feeding tube. So I have gastroparesis, which means that my stomach is paralyzed and doesn't empty. So I get sick pretty much every time I eat, and lately I have not been able to keep anything down. I've been struggling for about 8 years, and I just really wanted to share my story. If you have been with me for a while, you might have seen my All About My POTS video, so I will link that in the corner. But anyways, let's get started. So I am going to be looking down because I do have everything like written out because I'm not going to be able to remember every last detail that I want to go over. Like I mentioned, I got sick about 8 years ago. I came down with a mono infection and it never got better. My main symptom was always diarrhea though, which is pretty unusual for somebody with gastroparesis, and I will get into why I have diarrhea kind of at the end of this video, because a lot of people have been asking me. But I also had vomiting and nausea, just not as severe as the diarrhea, if that makes sense. So, I mean, that went on for, it's been almost 8 years now. My main symptoms are the nausea, vomiting, diarrhea, pain, bloating, things like that. Those are your typical gastroparesis symptoms. So when I got sick at first, we went to a gastroenterologist and they did like your standard workup. They did like a colonoscopy, upper endoscopy. It was all normal. They thought maybe I had Crohn's that they just couldn't see, so they started to treat me for like Crohn's disease. That treatment obviously didn't work because I don't have inflammatory bowel disease, but we just didn't know, and that went on for so many years. Besides like the colonoscopies and endoscopies, I've also had a million CAT scans, MRIs, barium swallows, breath tests. I can't even tell you how many tubes of blood I've given. I've also had capsule endoscopies. I've had a couple of those, and manometry tests. Yeah, those kind of test your motility. So yeah, we didn't know what was going on. They kind of misdiagnosed me with anything and everything. So like I said, the Crohn's and ulcerative colitis. Irritable bowel syndrome was another big one they just kept trying to push on me. I don't have that. Never did, but when they don't know, they just kind of push that on you. They also diagnosed me with cystic fibrosis, which is insane to me. I failed a sweat test, and I failed that test because I have POTS, and I get into that more in my All About My POTS video if you want to check that one out. But basically they told me I have like this rare form of cystic fibrosis that doesn't really affect your lungs. It affects like your GI tract more. Obviously that isn't the case. I don't have cystic fibrosis. They also diagnosed me with eosinophilia. I can't say this. Eosinophilia. I'm just gonna put it right here because I cannot say it. Gastroenteritis. It's basically like allergic reactions of like the lining of your stomach. I guess I'm not 100% sure because again, I don't have that, so I haven't really researched these things. Those are like the main things that they really diagnosed me with that obviously weren't true. Then we kind of got into this thing where doctors didn't believe me because all of these tests started coming back normal, and they started diagnosing me with just anxiety and depression, and eventually they started saying that I was anorexic and bulimic and abusing laxatives. And that was really hard because it does look like I am bulimic from a medical standpoint in a way, but I'm not, because I don't purposely make myself throw up after I eat. I don't know, this is really hard for me to talk about, so I'm sorry if this doesn't really make sense. But yeah, after we were told that, we decided to transfer my care to the Cleveland Clinic. This, again, with my POTS video, this was all like related. Eventually we got a POTS diagnosis, which stands for postural orthostatic tachycardia syndrome. we followed like this neurologist for a while and he wasn't really doing anything, and then I turned 18, so I couldn't see him anyway since he was a pediatric doctor. We got in with Doctors Wilson and Dr. Jager at the Cleveland Clinic, and they decided to do a bunch more tests related to my POTS. Dr. Wilson also looked at my GI symptoms and suspected gastroparesis. He wanted me to see his GI colleague, but in order to get into his GI colleague, you have to have a gastroparesis diagnosis. So he decided to run a gastric emptying scan. And I honestly had no idea what this was. I didn't really know anything about gastroparesis, and I thought it was gonna come back normal because, like, again with the diarrhea, like that was my main symptom. I never really thought that, you know, it would be gastroparesis. So anyways, long story short, I did the gastric emptying scan and that did show gastroparesis, enough to get me into Dr. Klein at the Cleveland Clinic, who is literally the best doctor in the entire world. I love him so much and he has literally saved my life. So he doesn't really like that test. It's enough to get you a diagnosis, but it doesn't really show anything else. It just shows like how much food is left in your stomach at the 4-hour mark, so it doesn't even show like how long your stomach actually takes to empty, if that makes sense. He decided to do the smart pill test. It's really similar to a capsule endoscopy, but it's not a camera. It just tests like how long it takes to go through your digestive system, and then it measures a couple other things. I did that and that showed that my stomach takes 23 hours to empty. A normal person should take less than 4. So that, I mean, is insane and definitely showed gastroparesis. But along with that, it also showed that my colon emptied way too fast. So my colon emptied in 13 hours. A normal person should take around 40 to 60. I can't remember exactly what he said. So basically I have 2 motility issues going on. I have the gastroparesis and then I have like the super fast colon. So for those of you who have asked why I have diarrhea with gastroparesis, that's why. So we went to Dr. Klein after we got the smart pill test results. He decided that I would be a perfect candidate for a POP surgery, or a per-oral pyloromyotomy. So he referred me to his surgeon that he works with, and basically they went in, this was 2 months ago, they went in endoscopically and they cut part of your pylorus. So the pylorus is a muscle in the bottom of your stomach, and when you have gastroparesis, that part is paralyzed. So, you know, it just doesn't open to let food through. So essentially this surgery was going to cause it to remain open, if that makes sense, because they cut it. Unfortunately, I had a pretty bad recovery and ended up getting this NJ tube. So this feeding tube bypasses my stomach and goes into my jejunum, and then I get tube feeds that way. Usually you don't end up with a feeding tube after this surgery, but I had a really bad recovery. I am now 2 months post-op, which is when you should start seeing results, and I unfortunately haven't. So this surgery is not working for me, and I think they said there's a 70% success rate, so I am in the 30% that it doesn't or hasn't worked in. So that has been very defeating and frustrating. So yeah, I'm just trying to make sure I'm on track, sorry. So basically, we're not sure what's next. We have a couple other surgery options that we're considering, but I just want to be 100% sure and wait a couple more months to see if, you know, I'm still healing. I mean, I know it probably isn't, but I just don't want to jump into something and then the surgery ends up working and we did something that was unnecessary. So yeah, I also am being started on IV, it's a steroid and Plaquenil. So they think that my gastroparesis and POTS are autoimmune related, so these 2 drugs are going to help like calm down like anything autoimmune related. If that doesn't work, then we are going to start IVIG. That has been shown to work with gastroparesis, but it is very hard to get insurance to approve, and that has been my issue. So the plan for now is, as of next week, I am going, that didn't make any sense. Next week, I'm going in to get a J tube. I'm very nervous. I just found this out today, so I'm still kind of in like that phase of like denial almost, where it really hasn't hit me. I've been researching it all day today and it's kind of setting in more. I don't really know what to expect. By the time you see this video, I probably already have it, or I'm about to go in to get it. I am very happy that I don't have to have this tube anymore, because it is pretty uncomfortable and annoying and people do stare, but I'm not happy that, you know, it has gotten to the point where we have to place a surgical tube. So that's where I'm at now. I do want to go over some of the medications I have tried for my gastroparesis and diarrhea before I kind of end this video. So I have tried Imodium. Obviously Imodium unfortunately makes it worse for me, because that does slow your stomach down and we can never figure out why, so I can't really take that one anymore. I've also been on Lotrinox, which is like a prescription strength Imodium that did the same thing. Carafate has been another one that I've been on a lot with my stomach. I have, like with the vomiting, I have torn like my stomach a couple times, so that has helped in that sense, but it hasn't helped my symptoms. I've been on Pentasa for like the Crohn's, Zantac, Zofran, Phenergan, things like that. Reglan I was on for a while. Those never really helped. So along with the gastroparesis, I did mention that I do have POTS, or postural orthostatic tachycardia syndrome. I also have Ehlers-Danlos syndrome type 3. I have endometriosis, and I have an immune deficiency and a hole in my heart. So yeah, we don't really know if all of these things are related. The doctors think they are. Again, like with the autoimmune things, that we're not sure. The doctors don't even know. So anyways, I'm sorry this was all over the place. I just really wanted to get this done and kind of sit and chat with you guys. It has been a really hard 8 years. I'm in a place now though where I'm finally happy, even though I physically don't feel the best. Mentally, it's been great. It's been amazing to finally find like the right doctors, if that makes sense, like, you know, who genuinely care about you and believe in you and know exactly what to do for like the gastroparesis. So that definitely has helped a ton. So anyways, I am going to end this video. Again, I'm sorry if this was all over the place, but yeah, so thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you guys in my next video.